Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Hardeman Tripathi from Trip Law. Today we're going to be speaking about a very important concept. How do I get in touch with USCIS? One of the number one questions at our firm that we get from a lot of clients is, Attorney Tripathi, Trip Law, how do we actually get a hold of USCIS? How do we call them? How do we check on the status of our case? How do we end up actually speaking with a real-life human being on the phone? Those are all very important questions. We've all been on hold for many hours trying to get a hold of someone from the government. So this video is going to show you the pathway to do it in an expedited way, the shortcuts, the tips and secrets of how to actually speak with a real human being, what you need when you actually do get ready to speak with them, and how to make the best out of your brief conversation with a USCIS officer. So before we jump right in, if this is the first time that you're here on our channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button so we can continue to make excellent videos for the public on all things immigration law and policy. All right, so let's jump right in. So today I'm going to be really speaking with you about how can I get a hold of someone, meaning you, the individual, the immigrant, or the loved one of that immigrant. How do you get a hold of USCIS? This is like a big headache. The government is not known to be very efficient in terms of giving good customer service or getting your case processed. A lot of the times we have clients who say, Attorney Tripathi, how do we go about actually getting a hold of somebody? So the number one thing you really have to do is understand kind of what are the tips and tricks of actually getting a hold of somebody. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. So ultimately you're going to have to call USCIS. I'm going to whip out my phone right now. I'm going to give you the number. This is the number to USCIS. You have to first dial this number. The number is 1-800-375-5283. Once again, that's 1-800-375-5283. And what's going to happen, they're usually available from about 8 a.m. Eastern Time to about 8 p.m. Eastern Time because they have to take into account the Pacific time zones and Mountain time zone and Central time zone. But usually you want to call very early in the morning, or even if you call throughout the day, just expect a lot of waiting times because obviously there's a lot of other people who just need just as much as help as you probably do watching and listening in and tuning into this video. But let your attorney do it. That's why we are hired and retained by our clients to ultimately do that for you so you're not wasting your valuable time. Rather, we look at it as a privilege that you are allowing us the opportunity to be your G28 attorney representative on that call, having all the information ready, knowing how to speak to these government officials in a way that will not jeopardize your case, but at the same time not waste time and ultimately get you that succinct information that you need to succeed in your case. So that number that I just aforementioned, you definitely want to call them. I think it's very important to have the right number. That's number one. Number two, you want to make sure you get a hold of somebody. So what's going to end up happening when you call USCIS is they're going to have some language prompts. They're going to say 1 for English, 2 for Spanish, and likewise. So what you want to do is you want to select the right number that attunes to kind of your language skill set. And then what you want to do is you want to say the following magic words. You want to say InfoPass. That's INFOPASS. Soon as you say InfoPass, you will then be able to be in the waiting queue with respect to the government to ultimately get a chance to speak with a representative of the government, usually USCIS officer or a customer service representative, that will be able to monitor your case and answer any questions you may have. Once you say InfoPass, you'll probably be on hold for about, they'll literally tell you, but it'll be about on average about 25 to 40 minutes, depending on when you call. This can vary based on the day you call, based on the time you call, but you're going to ultimately have to be on hold. There's going to be some music, and they're going to have some statements about Ukraine, and based on the time of this video, and other questions about Emma, which is like their their system that they have. It's AI based, and chatting. It doesn't really work if you're really listening in. You actually want to speak to an officer. So basically that's going to happen, right? You're going to be on hold for a little bit. And while you're on hold, or even prior to giving them a call, you really want to gather all your information and let your attorney do this. If you really want us to do it, we'd be more than happy to do it. Give us a call. Our number here is 1-863-370-2427, and our email is info@trip-law.com. So once again, it's 1-863-370-2427 or info@trip, the hyphen sign, law.com, and we'll take care of this for you because we understand you as that immigrant have so much other important things to worry about in your day, caring about your loved ones, handling your life, right? Let the attorneys and the professionals handle it. But ultimately, if you are interested in doing it yourself, this golden nugget, this video is going to explain how to do that. You're going to call that number we mentioned. You're going to say InfoPass once you select the proper language prompt on your telepad, your phone. And then once you do that, you want to have certain documents ready, right? So you're ultimately usually going to be calling about a variety of things. You're either going to want to know the status of your case. You're going to want to know when you're going to receive that receipt notice. You're going to want to know what is the holdup on your case and things of that nature. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you have your A number. The A number is an alien number. That's the number that you get granted. Usually it's the number on your green card, or when you get when you come to this country, if you're in deportation proceedings and things of that nature, you're going to have something called an A number. You want to locate that in your documentation. You can also share that with our firm. We'd be more than happy to walk you through finding that number. But the A number is what they're going to ask you first and foremost when you get on the call. Once that long hold period goes away, the officer is going to give you their agent ID number, which I recommend you write down. You do have every right to ask them to repeat that number for your records so that you can notate who you actually spoke with, and then also ask for their name. So you want to get the agent ID number and their name. You have every right as the immigrant to do that. We always ask that when we're attorneys of record for a client. We want to make sure we have that all documented in our system, not only for you, but for our records and also for transparency's sake. You also want to make sure you have your receipt number. The receipt number is usually like a number. It starts with a couple letters and a bunch of numbers. It might be like an IOE number or so. But it's going to be on the top of your document. It's going to say receipt number. You need to make sure you have all your documents in front of you, because depending on the officer you get, you will have some officers that are going to be very helpful and actually do their job and ultimately serve their duty and help you. And other officers are going to be what officers are and what the government is, and it's just a bureaucracy. They understand they have the power, but they should give you a little bit of decency. But if you happen to have that officer who happens to be someone who's just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, they're not going to give you a lot of time. You're going to need to have all that information handy and ready to go. These people are usually not your friends. These officers' lives are, very robotic in a sense. They go to work 9 to 5 type of thing, and it's their job. They're the government. We, however, as your counsel, actually genuinely care. We want to make sure we do a good job for you, and you have your day in front of that officer. But a lot of these officers, sometimes decency is hard to come by when you're dealing with the government. Dealing with that, just be patient, be polite, be prepared, be prompt, and just have all these documents. So you want your A number, you want to make sure you have your receipt number, you want to make sure you have your date of birth, you want to make sure you have your physical address. They're going to ask you for your name. They're going to, if you have a lawyer, ask you for your G28. That's just a fancy word for having an attorney of record. You want to have all that ready. Usually when you're already calling, we'll do that for you. But this is a video for those of you who may not have an attorney or are trying to ultimately get in touch with someone. Once you finally get on the phone, have all that information ready. And then be succinct. Less is more. These are recorded lines. They are monitoring what you're saying. So be very careful, be succinct, and just be cautious when you're talking to these officers. And make sure you always follow up. Make sure you let them know that you want a follow-up email confirmation highlighting exactly what was said, and ultimately giving you your right to give you that email or send that receipt notice to your address. You want to verify that address. Make sure that officer knows. We've had many clients who have horror stories where these officers do not know what they're doing. Let's be honest. These are people who have probably, get that government pension. They're on the government dime. And they're just one call after another, and that's just kind of how they are. I don't have too much faith in the government when it comes down to our clients, because these people really don't genuinely care sometimes, even though they say they do. And this is the harsh reality of it. You'll get a bunch of public relations people in the government saying that they want to give you best customer service and all of that. Completely not true based on our experience, and it's always a back and forth between the government. We try to be professional with them, but imagine us having to do that. Imagine how they will probably treat you. So it's very important you have all your ducks in a row. You have all your I's dotted, T's crossed. Get all your documents together, and just be ready to be on that uphill battle. Sometimes they may just hang up on you. You may have phone calls being disconnected. All these kind of things will happen. We've dealt with this. And then this is where I say always reach out to your congressional office. The congressional offices, the jurisdiction that you're in, the district where you're at, your congressperson, congressman or woman is going to be able to hold the USCIS accountable. So don't think you don't have the power. You really do. The number one thing we do is we launch a congressional inquiry most of the time when these officers completely drop the ball over and over again. Usually that's where your congressperson is going to be the one that will help you. We do provide those services as well once you retain our firm. Give us a call at 1-863-370-2427 or email us at info@trip-law.com. We will make sure we reach out to your congressperson to make sure that you are represented by that congressperson who holds the USCIS accountable. The way the government works is you, the people, even if you're not, a citizen, you are someone who is still in their jurisdiction. They will help you. This is what the whole purpose of that congressional office is. We have really good relationships with our congressional offices and staff, and they do a really good job. The congressional offices are there to serve you and represent you, whether you are a citizen or not. Lo and behold, you still do have rights, right? And so make sure that you hold USCIS accountable if they do not answer your questions correctly. Launch a congressional inquiry. That is a power you have as a person residing in that district with that Congress member. And we usually utilize that way and means if there's been an unreasonable amount of time. We just had a case where it fell outside of a certain amount of window for reasonable expectations of having these cases processed. This will happen from time to time. It's your job and our job to work together as a team to reach out to that congressional office, and it's their job to hold those agencies responsible based on federal administrative law along with their congressional powers granted to them by Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. So you have rights, and do not ever forget that. That's one thing I always tell my clients is if USCIS officer treats you bad, launch a congressional inquiry. Let them know that you can hold them accountable as well. They do serve you. They are the government. Theoretically, the government works for us, the people. And so it's very important. And we, through our powers of voting and electing our Article 1 officials, these congressional members, they work for us too. And so they will end up making sure that they get you ultimately an opportunity to speak with that officer in a way that you will have a better chance of getting your thoughts across and ultimately having the outcome that you desire. And we here at Trip Law are very great partners with these congressional offices. We understand the bureaucracy that does exist. And so if you really want to talk to an officer, basically call that number we referenced before, the USCIS customer service number. Select the proper language prompt, say info pass when prompted to say, and then after that, be in a little bit of a holding pattern where you have to be on the phone. Once you speak with that officer, get their officer ID number, their agent ID number, have it for your records, let them know in a concise way, in a succinct way, short but sweet, kind of what your issue is, what you want resolved. And if they do not help you, then ultimately create a congressional inquiry, call a lawyer, an immigration lawyer who specializes in this kind of work and ultimately can help you. Call us. We would be more than happy to do that. We do that all the time for our clients. Most of the time, lawyers are very busy. We understand that, but so are you. And this case is so important to you. So give us a call. We'll be more than happy to work on your behalf to make that communication happen and ultimately get you the outcome that you do desire. So today's video is for those people who want to get in touch with a USCIS official and ultimately get a status update or ultimately get a receipt notice sent to them or find out why the case is taking so long. Obviously, the government does have a reasonable amount of time to process, and reasonability does vary depending on the type of case, and that's why you need to speak with a lawyer. So I hope this nugget was very important for you because it did give you insight into how to actually speak with a real-life person. We understand how it can get very in this day and age where electronics and all that can be very confusing. Well, you do have rights, so understand that either if you're calling on behalf of your loved one who happens to be an immigrant overseas or here, or whether you happen to already be here trying to get an adjustment taken care of or just speak with, and you are the immigrant trying to speak with an officer, you have rights. So we really hope you found this informative. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to our law firm here at Trip Law. Give us a call at 1-863-370-2427 or email us at info@trip-law.com, and we'll be more than happy to advocate on your behalf, get you those status updates, get your case moving, and ultimately expedite it in a way that you do not have hiccups, you're not stuck in processing because an officer decided to leave that file going on forever and ever. You've worked too hard, you've put too much money and time into this case. You deserve that response that should be quick, and that's the job of our government, is to serve the people. And so if you are getting the runaround, give us a call. We're more than happy to help. Thank you so much for your time today and tuning in with respect to this little nugget on how to contact a USCIS officer, how to actually get a hold of someone in person, and ultimately how to move your case along so you can get the desired outcome you need. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day, and we wish you, from Trip Law here, wish you the best of luck with your immigration journey. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Hardim Tripathi from Trip Law, and we thank you and wish you the best. Have a great rest of your day.